Hi, welcome everybody, it's Mike Newton here. We've got a little head-to-head for you here, and we've got two really, in my view, some really nice sort of forged irons. So we've got the Callaway Apex Pro iron, okay, from Callaway, so it's their sort of more compact, smallest head offering they've got, against TaylorMade's P770, so fairly new iron out from TaylorMade. Now, they obviously TaylorMade do a 750, which is a really small version, but I think you know, you could either put the 750 against this or the 770 against this. Obviously, I've chosen 770, possibly a slightly more popular option between that and the 750, so which is the reason why I'm doing it on this one. So 770 against the Apex Pro. Okay, so two forged irons, both got that cavity behind them, both got that little bit of forgiveness behind them. Both more in that, what I call the truer loft category. So these are two 7 irons. So the Apex is 34 degree on the 7 iron. The TaylorMade is 33. So TaylorMade is slightly stronger, but I have done a review of that on my channel already, and we did sort of notice it's a fairly high sort of ball flight with a good sort of spin number behind it. So it'll be interesting to see how these two pitch up against each other. We've got GC2 set up here, so we can monitor some spin numbers and some distances, and maybe just have a little comparison between them. Okay, so we're going to get underway, hit some shots, and we'll come back with some details. Okay, so we're going to start off with Callaway Apex Pro iron to start with. So, as many of you maybe know, this is quite a compact head as it sits down behind the ball, very squat sort of blade. Obviously very little offset there, quite a classic looking iron. So I'm going to hit a few shots with this. We'll get this first one underway. Okay, feels good. You know, feels just like a forged iron should feel to me. Cut that a little bit heavy there, just dropped off a little bit of distance. That's a nice strike. Yeah, it feels great. Yeah, typical sort of flight. You know, these irons we're trying here are more, as I said earlier, more of a true lofted category here. So we're not going to see this sort of very low firing with no spin sort of flight. We should see some good sort of spin numbers here. You know, somewhere around that 6.5 to 7,000 sort of area of spin. Again, really nice strike, feels lovely that. Yeah, I think this sort of iron really, you know, appeals to me, ticks all the right boxes for me in terms of the look, you know, the very classic sort of shape there, that sort of chrome finish on it. The feel of it, of the forged head, is something that I would sort of prefer myself. And obviously it does give those more consistent sort of spin numbers. Right, that was a little bit heely, that one, but it's just pulled a little bit, but it's not done too bad there. Right, okay, so we're going to flick over, we're going to hit some with the TaylorMade, and then we'll go and check some numbers out. Okay, so I've now got the TaylorMade P770 770 in my hand. So very similar on the sort of small compact squat sort of head shape. Maybe a little bit thicker on that top line than the Callaway one, but probably only just, to be honest. Again, very little offset there. Again, it's just a really nice sort of look behind that golf ball. So it frames the ball really nicely there. It looks very simple, chrome sort of finish on it. Okay, I'll give this one a hit. Okay, little bit toe strike, but very pleasing flight there. That's a nice shot, very straight that one. Again, to me it feels very similar. Again, it's that forged iron, you know, so the feel, I'm not expecting anything really different here. I'm not sort of seeing that, to be honest. So it is a very nice sort of soft feel. feels lovely. Nice ball flight again. Okay, we'll hit one more. Little bit pushy, that one. Okay, but again, feels great. You know, very hard to separate those two just on feel there. I mean, they both feel really good. Obviously, both forged, both feel really soft, but maybe look at some numbers here, and that might just start to influence me. So imagine if I'm in a fitting environment here, obviously I'll be changing to shafts and heads and stuff, looking at launch motors here, but just really between these two, through that alone of feel, it's tough to say. Looks wise, they're both very similar, probably just edged towards the TaylorMade there. I think the Callaway just has that little bit of a rounded sort of front leading edge there, which I prefer that slightly squarer leading edge in relation to where that hosel is. So possibly looks wise, the TaylorMade might just edge it for me. Feel wise, both feel really good, so it's tough to know any difference on the feel. But this is where maybe numbers of the launch motor might start to influence your buying, how you would buy in terms of what's going to suit your swing in terms of launch, length, but also spin and control. Okay, so let's go and have a look at some numbers and we'll see if there's any differences. So looking at some numbers here, so obviously we've got the Callaway on the top, TaylorMade on the bottom here. So we're looking at, obviously club head speed, very, very similar. Ball speed, fraction more with the TaylorMade, probably because it's that 1 degree stronger than the loft, so that's no sort of surprise there really. Launch angle, a smidge, literally a smidge lower the TaylorMade, again possibly that little bit of loft. Spin's a bit different though, so this is quite maybe surprising what you would possibly think. So less lofted TaylorMade has actually spun more. Okay, so 7,400 against 6.7 with the Callaway. Now, to be fair to the Callaway, I did get a couple where I pulled them a little bit more left, so that would have just pulled that spin down a little bit. But having said that, it would have been probably 700 revs of spin. So TaylorMade definitely giving a little bit more spin there. Okay, in terms of a distance number, 159 Callaway against 160. See the first one with Callaway a little bit heavy, so it's just dropped off a little bit there. So maybe the Callaway just edging it if I took that number out of the equation. But to be honest, very, very similar on the numbers there. I think the spin number's the biggest difference there, which I probably prefer to have a little bit more spin hitting into maybe a hard solid green in the depths of the summer. You know, I'll probably want that little bit more control. Right then, so two really, really good irons there. You know, the Callaway Apex Pro against the TaylorMade P770. So as I say, number wise, distance wise, very, very little in it. Ball speed, very little in it. Launch angle, very little in it. Spin, bit of a difference in the spin. You know, I'm preferring that slightly higher spin model that the TaylorMade is giving me there against the Callaway. So possibly on that front, that's edged me a little bit TaylorMade. With regards to look, as I said before, I probably just edge the TaylorMade on look. You know, I prefer that slightly square leading edge there. Callaway's a little bit more of a round. It's like the leading edge sits forward of the hosel. Sometimes you see that a lot more in wedges, and I've never been it's never ticked my box that. I've never been a real lover of that. So that's maybe just, I like the look of it, but that just doesn't quite sit with me. So that's probably where I'm just edging a little bit more TaylorMade. Apart from that, you know, they both feel fantastically, you know, good, soft, really, really, you know, typical forged club, as I said earlier. So very difficult to part them on that front. So I think really, for me personally, TaylorMade is just edging it slightly, you know, with a little bit better on the looks, a little bit better on that spin number. But to be honest, both very good irons. This is where you've got to go out and test these yourselves. Obviously, there's a lot of shaft options to suit different players. In terms of swing speed and deliverance, etc., and what you're trying to hit on a desired flight. Then also you've got lie angle, you know, all those other influences of custom fitting. So again, these sort of videos, you know, I would hate it if anybody went out and just bought TaylorMade because it's just edgy for me in this environment. Okay, these videos are more aimed at trying to maybe just give you a bit of an idea of its performance. Okay, maybe just highlight something that it might be think, oh yeah, that's something for me to possibly go and try or be fitted for. Doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Okay, so this is, again, you've got to go and get these fitted yourself. You've got to test them against each other in one environment with a launch monitor, with a good fitter, and make sure you're getting something that's suited to you and what you like the look of and feel of, etc. Okay, Thanks for watching, guys. Please do subscribe. I'll put a little link up here. I do appreciate if you the subscriptions. Comment down below. Share the video around if you've got any friends that might be interested in any of these two irons. Get the video sharing around, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.